Welcome to the Mission Files. This is the part of the week where we take a little bit, we see who wants to sign on stream, and we write something for the tabletop role playing game right here on Twitch. And it gives us an opportunity to talk about rules. It gives us a chance to talk about world building and to pull back the curtain on the creative process a little bit and show how I arrive at some of this stuff. And most of it for me is actually pretty deductive. I am One of the things that I haven't talked about on this stream is that I'm actually alexithemic. Is that the right? No, that's the wrong word. I'm hypophantasic, which means that I don't imagine worlds in my head. I don't actually see things when I'm using my imagination. Um, and I know a lot of people do. They get visions in their head of things, and they do their best to sort of render those visions in the world through whatever medium they're working through, whether it's through writing or whether it's through painting or artistry or whatever the case may be. That's absolutely not how I work. My process is more about understanding what I'm trying to accomplish and building a tool and making that tool as um, to the point of what I'm trying to accomplish as possible while at the same time making it as well as it can be made. And that is just as true with storytelling as it is with anything else. When I'm writing a screenplay, my question is, what am I trying to make a movie for? Is it because there's an actor who wants to work with me, or is it because there's something I want to do for my audience? Well, if I want to do something for my audience, what do I want to do for them? And what genre is going to serve that process the best? And then okay, what kind of story would accomplish that goal most effectively? And then I go at the structure and I say, okay, once I have that, I start building that story in a way that accomplishes what I'm trying to accomplish while giving everybody else who's involved in the project everything that they need to do the best possible work that they're capable of. So it really is about empowering people. And that's just as true with Jump Rangers. If we look at, well, so for example, one of the things I need to do right now is find something that I can make for the game that's not going to take too long because we have one session here. We have one evening to sit down and make something happen. I don't want it to be bad. I don't want to be disappointed in the result. I want people to be able to use it. So that that in and of itself means it can't be too ambitious. We're going to look for something that's pretty straight to the point. And then from there, one of the things that I want to do is I know I want to expand the Jump Rangers universe. Beyond that, I want to have a good time with people. So the first thing that we're going to do, I have a list of things that I need to make for the data deck that I keep running. Um, and I haven't really gone back and revised it or looked at it for a little bit. I just keep adding stuff to it. So let's have a look at that. Okay. So, overview and intro to the Saurian book. One of the things that I've noticed over the course of, you know, 70 odd data deck files now is that we do have enough material in these data decks to release without too much work an entire source book on the Saurian horde. That's just a thing we have that we didn't have before. Game supplement. If you Looney said a textbook, so but yeah, source book. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. We will see. I don't know exactly what design these. We got to. What we have to do is we have to talk to a book designer. That's one of the things that we're going to need next, and it's one of the things that Federico and I are going to be talking about once we finish the key art that we're working on now is okay, what's it going to cost to get a designer to come in and help us? The other thing I don't know, Epiluni, is whether or not the companion source books are going to have their own releases or whether they're just going to be an app. Um, but we do have enough material for a Saurian source book, and it would be foolish not to take advantage of that. So, an intro to it. Also, along similar lines, we have a. Um, actually, we did that. We have a state of the Saurian Empire kind of where are we now assessment. That might be a good thing to do today. That might be a good thing to do today. And maybe those two things are one chapter. Maybe we unite them into one file, and that might be something worth doing right now. Managing difficulty, cooperation, preparation, and critical success. This is coming up because we've had conversations in um, in the metagame about whether or not the game is too hard. And one of the things that we've been learning in playing through the game is that it can be, but becomes a lot more uh, crunchable and breakable, if you will, as soon as you start using the mechanics for cooperation and as soon as you start using the mechanics for preparation and how they tie into critical success. So, um, writing a bit on how we can use those, maybe like a little primer, a little player's guide. Ipiluni is suggesting a little index card that breaks down how a play works. I think we have like that in the book. Um, it's not exactly an index card, and maybe we need a little reference tool. What I will do at some point if I release the book is have a storyteller screen, and it'll be on that for sure. Um, but like a little, not necessarily like a little primer on how to cheat at Jump Rangers is more, I think, what we're talking about here, like how to break the system, because the system is designed to be broken. It's built for kids, and kids love abusing games. So Jump Rangers is ready for that, and you're supposed to play a little rough with the rules. And I think that it would make sense to. So maybe that's what we'll write today, and we'll make a little tribute to Federico as we do it, who pulled me aside and Tennyson, we need to. Federico, you did survive. You did thrive. You snuck onto a Saurian spaceship dressed as two Jump Rangers dressed as one Undersoar in a hazmat suit. It worked. The rules are not the rules are not working against you, Federico. Yep. It was two Jump Rangers dressed as an Undersoar. It literally was the three, you know, the three little kids in a trench coat. It was exactly that. So so that is a potentially worthy thing to discuss. Other stuff that we've got here. So we've got the overview and intro to the Saurian book, state of the Saurian Empire, balancing jump drives in the UCS Navy. We've addressed that through um, the thing that we just did. Fast rules for NPCs. Some way of making NPC management quicker. That is something I need to sleep on. I haven't even thought about it since I wrote it, but some way of speeding up the process for NPCs that's systemic and that isn't just cottage industry that everyone's got their house rules. And I certainly have mine, but I haven't even figured out what they are. I'm going to be honest. I'm a little fast and loose. Um, a map of the known galaxy, safe houses, information on safe houses. Um, and the sort of habitats that rangers use when they um, when you land on a planet and you're trying to get to a human colony. A lot of the time, human colonies will send out Hermes transports to specific little habitats hidden in caves and things where people can leave the Saurian, get out through the air cans, leave the Saurian spaceport, and then hide out and wait for pickup. So information on those, we're going to move that to the top of the list. That's very important because that's a concept that has come up kind of since I was more since I wrote the core book. So it's not as well developed in the core book as it should be. Um, Jump space and the rules of jump space, which is important, especially now that we're getting into octonators and how they work. Whip swords. I don't even remember why that's important, but someone wanted whip swords. That's fine. We can have whip swords and jump rangers. Ipiluni knows. What was the answer? Ah, Ipiluni wants a whip sword. Saurian kid. Um, or maybe character creation on Saurian kids. What's more on Saurian use? Earth, which isn't super detailed at this point. And I've got some thoughts on interchangeable weapons, things like the for the Hercules, like you can swap out the hands for other weapons, like an arsenal or a toolbox of things that you can plug into the Herc and what the modifiers are on what it can do when you lose a hand or both hands. That's the stuff sitting in my inbox. Managing difficulty, cooperation, preparation, and critical success. I think that's where we need to go. So, um, let me grab one of the more esoteric. Obviously, our template isn't going to hold up for today. This isn't what we need. Let me go into my files here and find something a little more battleground tactics. It's a good example. Something a little more. Oh, okay, here we go. So we're just going to grab the text just so I have all the formatting and stuff from the excerpt that I wrote from the Paxis book that was written on beating up Rexors. Here we go. That was a good entry, if I don't mind saying so myself. We'll just call this breaking the game. Okay. So this is going to be we're gonna rename this file later. What we'll do is we'll write it first. I was just gonna give it a name, and I'm like, no, Tenny, hold off. That's not how this works. Because if I go messing with the title of the file, then I lose the access to it on OBS, and we can't see it anymore. So messing with all that is not my first option. Here we go. So let me get a little closer here. My eyes are getting worse. In fact, let's put some glasses on. Put some reading glasses on. All right. Okay. Here we go. So, and in this, if anybody does check in and you're watching, and if you can't see, what's going on over here, do me a favor and say so in chat, and I will scroll down because I forget. I can very easily change it, but I have to change it in OBS, and it slips my mind. So keep me posted on that, please. So when you take the rules at face value, and your hero takes on the galaxy as a beginning player without investing time and preparation, takes on the galaxy on their own, things can get pretty rough. Things can get pretty rough out there on your own. Jump Rangers is a game of whimsy and adventure, but it's also a game of mindfulness. Much as we may not take a galaxy filled with fascist dinosaurs, space dinosaurs, space whales, and space mice all that seriously, the people who live there call this galaxy home. They take it very seriously indeed. For this reason, we need to think carefully Here we go. In many ways, that Jump Rangers is a fun game. It's also a game with life and death stakes for the characters who live inside it. In many ways, that paradox at the core of what makes Jump Rangers important to begin with. Something can be full of joy and fun to engage with, or even unjust at times. At the same time, there may be uh, huge unfairness and injustices at work within that system. Is part of what the idea that something can be joyful and at the same time that there may be huge unfairnesses and injustices at work within that system is a is a huge is a big part of what Jump Rangers seeks to is a reality that Jump Rangers can prepare young people for through play. At the same time, what good is that preparation if we do not offer solutions? Those characters are facing dire situations from one corner of the galaxy to the other. So, Jump Rangers is a fun game. It's also a game with life and death stakes for the characters who live inside it, and those characters are facing dire situations from one corner of the galaxy to the other. In many ways, that paradox is at the core of what makes Jump Rangers important to begin with. The idea that something can be joyful, and at the same time, that there may be huge unfairnesses and injustices at work within that system is a reality that Jump Rangers can prepare young people for through play. At the same time, what good is that preparation if we do not offer solutions to our players? What solutions do we offer? That seems built to. What solutions can we offer for a system that seems built to serve the interests of the tyrants? Tyrants like the Saurian Horde and the Loom. In this case, those solutions are pretty simple. On the one hand, this is a good thing to put in the rules. Are you shaking your head no at me, Epiluni? Hmm. Lou's been barky all morning, all day. We're gonna finish Ahsoka tonight. The writer's strike is over, everybody. I can say Ahsoka on stream and not have to correct myself. That's pretty exciting. The actors are still on strike. It's true. Um, all right. So on the one hand, being mindful, using our abilities. It helps a lot to approach our problems, to approach the things we're trying to achieve, the things that makes the most of our own abilities. Within that, it can make a big difference. We got some issues over here. What's going on? Oh, wow. Magic the Gathering is doing a collaboration with Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. Ippy Looney used to be a big Magic player because Seattle. Would you say that's accurate, though? Yeah. Break tasks down to the smallest, and to approach it can make each task in a way that makes the most of our own unique abilities. On the other hand, teamwork always makes the dream work. Great. So let's discuss how these systems feed into critical success. So, to beat a system that's engineered to make you fail, you need to find ways of using the rules against the people who wrote them. Yeah, Lou's just full of toughness. To beat a system, a person needs to find ways of using the rules against the people who wrote them. Jump Rangers is written to encourage this kind of gameplay. Great. Okay. So, what kinds of solutions can what solutions can we offer for a system that seems built to serve the interests of tyrants like the Saurian Horde and the Loom? To beat a system, a person needs to find ways of using the rules against the people who wrote them. Jump Rangers is written to encourage this kind of gameplay. On the one hand, it can make a big difference to break tasks down to the smallest possible steps, to approach each task in a way that makes the most of your own unique abilities. On the other hand, teamwork always makes the dream work. When we leverage, yeah. So, let's go back to the real quick. Let's go back to the uh, the keep file. Hang on one sec. Um, managing difficulty, cooperation. Cooperation and critical success. No, the first one. The first one is not cooperation. Preparation. Preparation and critical success. Yeah. Anytime you tell the storyteller that your hero is trying to perform a task, Lou, chill. This is a chill time. This is not a stressful time. This is a time of peace. The doors open is what happens. So when the doors open, Lou takes a big interest in what's happening in other people's business. We don't have a ton of neighbors. I think we have 3 apartments that share our basically our main gate with us, and Lou knows these people. Lou likes many of these people, so I don't know what the drama is. I really don't. Lou, do you want to meet Lou? Come here, Lou. Come here, baby. You want to be on stream, baby? We've got a bed on in the living room for Lucinda to sleep on, and Lou's been hiding under it lately. There's a lot going on in our neighborhood. We have a lot of homeless people living in our neighborhood, and I think some of that is freaking Lou out because Lou likes to take walks to the park, and Lou's starting to get nervous with some of the people that are walking by and approaching. There's a huge drug problem. I'm gonna tell you, the other day, come here, Lou. It's okay. She doesn't have to. Oh, what a good girl. So I was walking Lou, as a matter of fact, and there was a man selling drugs in big, um, like nice plaid slacks and Converse high tops and no shirt, just a skinny white dude with his hairy nipples and his tattoos and a top hat and a cane. It was just exactly like a John Carpenter movie. I was blown away. I had that moment where I thought, wow, Escape from LA was exactly right. This is exactly what John told us was going to happen. It was astounding. I kind of felt like somehow we'd leveled up, if that makes any sense. It's a messy neighborhood. Here's the girl. Here's the girl. This is Lou. She had a cookies. That's why her breath smells so nasty, huh, Lou? she's being she's being lovey. Give me those likes. I brought a dog. Give me the likes. Huh, Lou? Mwah. What a good girl you are. Trying to protect Mama. Lou was a service animal for the first 6 years of her life or so. And, well, no, first she was a rescue. And then she got service training. And Evan met Lou because she was selected for service training. So she's worked really hard. She put in a good, long, hard life. And now Lou's getting cranky in her old age. She's living the good life, huh, Lou? We're taking good care of her. She's retired. She's done her job. And now she gets the snacks. And she lies around. She goes out back and barks at the tennis courts. We call her Coach. She's a good girl. Thanks for the loves. I'm going to put you down, baby. Good girl. Relax. You don't have to bark. All right. All right. We can delete all this other stuff. We don't need all this other stuff, all this other noise here. Okay. Anytime you're the storyteller will tell you and ask you for a roll to make a roll. Talk through how you're breaking down the job you're trying to perform. Give the storyteller reason to see how each of those smaller steps is going to be easier than just doing one bigger thing. That alone odds of much stronger for you. Quite literally, it lowers the difficulty. You wind up making more rolls. When you make a roll, results in more victories than you needed. Those victories can be applied to a future roll. as long as it's somehow related. As long as it's somehow related to your success. That's how the rules of critical success rule work. That's how the rules of critical success work. Now, if you can start getting more victories than you need on these smallish task oriented roles, you can snowball into a lot. You can snowball your way into a lot of critical success. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. My wife got me a present. I have to wrap a present too by the time the task is complete. For this reason, it's more important to pick solutions to your problems that stem from your strengths, your virtues and training, the virtues and training than it is to pick solutions that make sense in the strictest sense from a story standpoint. Like I keep saying, Jump Rangers is a game of whimsy. Very recently, two Rangers with a lot of spycraft, more luck, sneaking into an into a Saurian mothership by dressing as undersoars than they would trying to disable the security systems. Why is this? It's because simply it's because they're better. By playing to their strengths. To be blunt, let's see. This is by design. So, I like this. This is a good thing to be writing. And I like that we're talking a little bit about the design ethics of the gameplay. My own life experience. People are more effective. Even when what a person seems ridiculous, that person will get farther by using their strengths to their advantage. Over the over the what's the word? The over the dogma of common sense and the advice of others. And dogma isn't the word that I want to use. Sandra Powers. Thank you, Sandra. What's that? So let's go ahead and look up I don't like dogma because it's a religious word, but that's the word I was trying to find a way around, and that's why I was being so quiet. So let's go ahead and I'm going to take a peek and see if anybody's on stream. No, it's just me. All right. So dogma, on thesaurus. The precept, tenets, doctrines. Yeah, doctrines. And the advice of people who may not know exactly what we need. Simple. Putting that mechanic in a game seems like a pretty great way to train our brains to rely on those strengths over the doctrines of common sense and the advice of people who may not know exactly what we need. It's harmless, but also extremely seditious. um, yeah, I like that. So we've got that, and now we go and we do the other thing. And the other thing is do. Oh well, yeah, I wrote all that. See, I keep forgetting to. I keep forgetting to. So preparation and then cooperation. When we involve other characters in our actions, we sacrifice one um, one die per character in exchange for adding any talents, any training, any virtues and training they can offer to the role. Obviously, sacrificing dice can be dangerous. What's more, you need to roll. It was at least you do need to roll die on any given roll. At the same time, involving characters who really do have something to offer can add so many extra bonuses to our target number that the roll becomes an automatic success. Or even a critical success. We even roll a die before we roll any dice. Or we even roll any dice. What this means, we need to be using if we want to involve lots of characters in a roll, we need to be using an attribute where we have lots of dice to spare. Where we have the dice to spare. Leadership is hard, and we need to rely on our strengths to do it well. At the same time, what dice we're using, what attributes we're using, depends entirely on how we're approaching the problem. If we're using our mind, it's a mind roll. If we're approaching the problem physically, it's a physical roll. It's a body roll. We're using our social skills, it's a heart roll. It's a spirit roll. Instead of trying to argue with the storyteller, why a certain I recommend just trying to solve problems. A certain. If you have a lot of dice in one attribute, then rely on that attribute. If spirit is your strength, these aren't even called attributes. And rely on that strength. If spirit is where your dice are, then don't use your when you're working with other characters. This will ensure that you have plenty of dice to go around. All right. You know what? This is its own. This is its own. This is its own section. Play to your strengths. Okay. Saving the galaxy is hard. We need to rely on our strengths to do it well. What strengths we're using depends on how we. Reach out with your mind, without reach out with your spirit. Ask you for a spirit roll. Be sure to that makes use of your virtues and training. You'll probably do pretty, and you'll roll consistently well. Okay, so now but if we're choosing but if we're careful in choosing the people we won't need, more than one die. One character's uh, virtues and training often a target number. We're playing to our strengths. One character's version of trinket often to as high as 4 or so. Adding more characters to the mix can very quickly escalate that target number. Elevate higher than 7 and into the realm of automatic victories. Alrighty. So let's So compounding. Compound your power. Now, if you're up against a real challenge and you need a lot of victories, all you need to do, give yourself a very strong chance of success, is to play to those strengths and approach the problem break the work up into baby steps, and then find people to help you who share your talent for the work at hand. If you're doing these three things, you'll find you can get away with a whole lot of nonsense in the game of Jump Rangers. In the galaxy of Jump Rangers. Obviously, not every situation will give you the opportunity and to take your time with a problem. Not every ranger has friends they can call on. If a character is playing by themselves, then part of their mission might involve creating the space and quiet to do things slowly. Maybe they need to find the people who can help them. Just because something is possible doesn't mean it's easy. Investing time and effort can take away a lot of the risk. And the story won't be any interesting or rich for the detour. That's all I really had to say. Break this game, Rangers. Go high and go far. Yeah, this may need to go in the core book. Something to think about. All right, let's give it a read through. Let's give it a little proofread, shall we? A little proofy. All right, so let's see here. I can proof it up here, maybe. Yeah. Nah, I don't like that. Luna, chill. Luna really is just a mess tonight. All right. Here we go. So, back at the top. When you take the rules at face value and your hero takes on the galaxy all on their own, things can get pretty rough out there. Things can get pretty rough in the galaxy of Jump Rangers. No. When you take the rules of Jump Rangers at face value, and when your hero takes on the galaxy all on their own, things can get pretty rough out there. Jump Rangers is a game of whimsy and adventure, but it's also a game of mindfulness. Much as we may not take a galaxy filled with fascist space dinosaurs, space whales, and space mice, all that giant robots. I feel like gotta mention the giant robots.
Don't forget the robots.
Yep. Space whales and space mice, all that seriously, the people who live there call this galaxy home. They take it very seriously indeed. Jump Rangers is a fun game. It's also a game with life and death stakes for the characters who live inside it. And those characters are facing dire situations from one corner of the galaxy to the other. In many ways, this is, by the way, something Ippy Looney is constantly talking. Just last night, Ippy Looney was saying, Tennyson. Tennyson. This game is so dark. What's wrong with you? This is for children. 2 nights ago. This is what we're getting into. Federico and I had the same conversation. Right after he snuck into a freaking mothership dressed as an undersore with a Jump Ranger on his shoulders. I think part of the reason Lou's barking so much is because I'm so loud.
Yes.
Ippy Looney agrees.
This is truth.
Jump Rangers is a fun game. It's also a game with life and death stakes for the characters who live inside it, and those characters are facing dire situations from one corner of the galaxy to the other. In many ways, that paradox is at the core of what makes Jump Rangers important to begin with. The idea that something can be joyful, and at the same time that there may be huge unfairnesses and injustices at work within that system, is a reality that Jump Rangers can prepare young people for through the act of play. At the same time, what good is that preparation if we do not offer solutions to our players? What solutions can we offer for a system that seems built to serve the interests of tyrants like the Saurian Horde and the Loom? To beat a system, a person needs to find ways of using the rules against the people who wrote them. Jump Rangers is written to encourage this kind of gameplay. On the one hand, it can make a big difference to break tasks down even to the smallest possible steps. Approach each task in a way that makes the most of your own unique abilities. On the other hand, teamwork always makes the dream work. Saving the galaxy is hard, and we need to rely on our strengths to do it well. So play to your strengths. What strengths we're using depend entirely on how we're approaching a problem, a given problem. If we're using our mind to solve a problem, it's a mind roll. If we're approaching the problem physically, it's a body roll. If we're using our social skills, it's a heart roll. If we're using powers beyond the comprehension of mere mortals, it's a spirit roll. If you have a lot of dice in one strength, then rely on that strength. If spirit is where your dice are, then don't solve problems with your firecracker. Find another way. Reach out with your spirit to solve your problem, and the storyteller will inevitably ask you for a spirit roll. Be sure to use that strength in a way that makes use of your virtues and chaining, and you'll roll pretty consistent numbers. Preparation and critical success. Anytime you tell the storyteller that your hero is trying to perform a task, the storyteller will tell you what the difficulty is and ask you to make a roll. Talk through how you're breaking down the job you're trying to do into smaller steps. Give the storyteller reason to see how each of those smaller steps is going to be easier than just doing one bigger thing. That alone makes the odds of success much stronger for you. Quite literally, in terms of the rules, it lowers the difficulty. In exchange, you wind up making more rolls to achieve your goal. When you make a roll that results in more victories than you needed, those victories can be applied to a future roll as long as it's somehow related to your success. That's how the rules of critical success work. If you can start getting more victories than you need on these smallish task-oriented rolls, you can snowball your way into a lot of critical success by the time the task is complete. For this reason, it's more important to pick solutions to your problems that stem from the virtues and training on your character sheet than it is to pick solutions that make sense from a story standpoint. Like I keep saying, Jump Rangers is a game of whimsy. Two rangers with a lot of spycraft might have more luck sneaking into a Saurian mothership by dressing as underswords than they would by trying to disable the security systems. Why is this? It's because they're better at lying and sneaking around than they are at hacking. By playing to these strengths, those Rangers can get away with a lot more than they would if they played the game in a more rational way. This is by design. My own life experience has taught me time and again that people are more effective when they're doing what they love and what they're good at than they are when they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Even when what a person is good at seems ridiculous, that person will get farther by using their strengths to their advantage. Putting that mechanic in a game seems like a pretty great way to train our brains to rely on those strengths over the doctrines of common sense and the advice of people who may not know exactly what we need. When we involve other characters in our actions, we sacrifice one die per character in exchange for adding any virtues and training they can offer to the role. Obviously, sacrificing dice can be dangerous. What's more, you need to roll at least one die on any given roll. At the same time, involving characters who really do have something to offer to the effort we're making can add so many bonuses to our target number that the roll becomes an automatic success or even a critical success before we roll any dice, or we even roll any dice. If you want to involve lots of characters in a role, we need to be using an attribute where we have the dice to spare. But if we're careful in choosing the people who are helping us, we won't need more than one die. We won't need to roll more than one die. When we're playing to our strengths, one character's virtues and training can often elevate a target number as high as 4 or so. Adding more characters to the mix can very quickly, or 5. Adding more characters to the mix can very quickly elevate that target number higher than 7, and then you're adding automatic victories to the roll. Compound your power. If you're up against a real challenge and you need a lot of victories, all you need to do to give yourself a very strong chance of success is to approach the problem in a way that plays to your character's strengths. Break up the work into baby steps, and then find people to help you who share your talent for the work at hand. If you're doing these 3 things, you'll find you can get away with a whole lot of nonsense in the galaxy of Jump Rangers. If you're gaining on every roll you make, if you're gaining critical successes on every roll you make, critical victories, critical success, and extra victories, and if you're making a lot of small rolls to accomplish a task, you can get a really obnoxious number of victories. You can build up an obnoxious number of victories before the job is done. Obviously, not every situation will give you the opportunity to prepare and to take your time with the problem. Not every ranger has friends they can call on either. If a character is playing by themselves, then part of their mission might involve creating the space and quiet, the space to do things slowly. Maybe they need to find the people who can help them. Maybe they need to find people who can help them. Just because something is possible doesn't mean it's easy. But investing that time and effort can take away a lot of the risk, and the story won't feel any less interesting or rich for the detour. Break this game, Rangers. Go high and go far. Yeah, I think this is great. I think this is a fantastic document. It really could stand to go in the rules section. It really could. So, mm, something to think about. I'm going to put some thought into it. Where exactly and how, and finding the time is the part that's sort of intimidating me right now. But it's fine. We'll do it. I'm going to get it done. This is necessary stuff. So, thank you, Federico, for putting this on my list of things to do. Um, let's see. Save as. Well, I can save this. I can save this file later. I don't need to do this in front of you. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for watching. I think this was a very successful mission files. I'm going to get this posted on the YouTube channel, and we will meet again next week and tackle one of the other things on the list. This was good. Um, I'm going to be streaming. We're moving the time of our game with Federico metagame on Saturday to 2:30 Pacific, so that Federico has a little more time because he's been hanging out with his kids. I definitely don't want Jump Rangers to take away from that. So uh, we will make it later in the day. Easy peasy. 2:30 p.m. Pacific time here on twitch.tv/Jump Rangers. That's metagame with Federico and Ibeluni and myself. Don't be a stranger, Ranger. See you on Saturday.